Something is happening along NATO's eastern border. It is quiet. It is dangerous. It is like a ticking clock where each tick and each tock brings the world closer to a potential explosion. Russia is testing the limits of the alliance. It sends drones into NATO territory. It flies fighter jets across borders. NATO members are now saying they will respond. They are discussing a military answer to Russia's actions. The situation is growing more unstable with each passing day. Let's be clear about what has been happening. This is not about abstract threats. These are real incidents with real consequences. In early September, Russia sent drones into the airspace of Poland. This was not a minor event. It was a direct violation of a NATO member's sovereignty. Shortly after, a more brazen incident occurred. 3 Russian MiG-31 fighter jets flew into Estonia's airspace. These jets are not simple patrol planes. They are powerful interceptors, capable of carrying advanced weaponry. Flying them into another country's territory is a significant and aggressive act. It is a clear message of intimidation from Moscow. This pattern of behavior is what military analysts call hybrid warfare. It is a strategy that blends conventional military actions with other, less direct methods. Cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, political pressure, small-scale border provocations. The goal is not to win a single decisive battle. The goal is to destabilize an opponent over time. Russia is using these incidents to poke and prod at NATO. It is testing the alliance's defenses. It is threatening its members. It is trying to see what kind of response it will get and how much it can get away with before NATO pushes back forcefully. The impact of these actions is felt most acutely on NATO's eastern flank. Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland. For them, these incidents are not distant news stories. They are immediate threats to their national security. So, what will this new, more forceful response look like? There is no single answer yet. The talks are still in their early stages. No final decisions have been made. However, several specific ideas are reportedly being discussed among the allies. These proposals represent a significant shift in thinking. They move beyond simple condemnation and toward concrete military and strategic actions. The goal is to create a set of responses that can deter Russia without triggering an all-out war. It is a delicate balancing act, and every option comes with its own set of risks and rewards. One of the most talked about ideas is to arm the surveillance drones that are already operating near the NATO-Russia border. Currently, these drones are used to collect intelligence. They watch Russian military movements in regions like the Baltics near Finland. One of the most innovative ideas being discussed is the creation of a drone wall. This concept has been gaining momentum within NATO, especially since Russia escalated its hybrid attacks in September. The idea is a seamless, technologically advanced defensive line along NATO's entire eastern border, from Finland in the north down to the Black Sea. This would not be a physical wall of concrete and steel. Instead, it would be a virtual wall made of drones, sensors, and other surveillance equipment, all working together to detect and neutralize threats before they can do any harm. To build this wall, NATO is likely to take several cues from Ukraine. Over the past few years, Ukraine has become a world leader in the use of drone technology in warfare. It has developed sophisticated tactics for using drones for reconnaissance, attack, and defense. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has even claimed his country could build 10 million drones per year with the right investment. NATO may be willing to make that investment. This cooperation would not only provide cutting-edge technology, but also draw Ukraine further into the Western security fold, a move that is guaranteed to anger Putin. A key component would be low-cost interceptor drones, some as little as $500 each. They are designed specifically to take out incoming drones. This is far more cost-effective than firing expensive air defense missiles like the US-made Patriot at cheap drones. Thousands of interceptors, integrated with sensors, could create a dense shield against incursions over Poland and beyond. Arming existing ISR drones fits perfectly. Double duty, find, and if needed, finish. Beyond the drone wall, another major proposal involves changing the rules of engagement for NATO pilots. Specifically, lowering the threshold to open fire on Russian threats that enter NATO airspace. Current procedures can be complex and time-consuming. Another option on the table is one that Russia will understand very well: projecting power. NATO is discussing conducting more military exercises in the regions that border Russia. This is a classic tool of deterrence. By visibly demonstrating military strength and readiness, the alliance sends a clear message: increase the frequency, scale, scope of these exercises. Focus: the more remote and previously less guarded parts of the eastern flank. This is about showing Putin that NATO has eyes and boots everywhere. First, a showcase of modern might if Russia escalates to direct conflict. Exercises like Iron Defender, typically led by Poland and involving over 30,000 soldiers in 2025, could expand. Second, by focusing on remote regions, NATO signals there are no weak spots. Guarded by a drone wall and major exercises, exploitation routes become uncertain and risky. There are two fundamental reasons why NATO is considering tougher measures. The first is about money. Military Watch magazine values a single MiG-31 at over $60 million. If NATO pilots get the green light to shoot down a jet violating NATO airspace, every provocation becomes a costly gamble. Russia cannot afford to lose much more money. Over 3.5 years of attritional war have taken a severe toll. Reports say 38% of Russia's federal budget through 2028 is set for military spending. The second objective is psychology: reduce fear. These incursions are designed to make people wonder if the next one does real damage. By demonstrating robust defense, NATO seeks to reassure citizens, especially on the eastern flank. As incidents spread beyond the flank to places like Germany and Denmark, reassurance becomes mission critical. Of course, the big question is how Russia is reacting to all of this. To say that Vladimir Putin is unhappy would be a massive understatement. The Kremlin is issuing threats of a significant response to those supporting Ukraine or pushing back. Alongside official threats, the propaganda machine is in overdrive, flipping the script. A typical line: the West only understands force. They're now testing the limits of what's tolerable. Inevitably, the nuclear word appears. A Putin ally spoke of preparing to strike, claiming a nuclear war with NATO can be won. This rhetoric seeks to intimidate the West and fracture alliance resolve. Zelensky warns of possible new Russian mobilization, an escalation risk for Europe. Whether bluff or intent, nuclear talk adds extreme risk to an already volatile situation, forcing NATO to weigh every move against catastrophic consequences. So where does this all leave us? The talks are real but early and may never be fully announced. There's logic to secrecy. By keeping Moscow guessing what's armed, what rules apply, NATO preserves ambiguity and advantage. If Putin doesn't know the plan, it's harder to counter or to gauge hidden red lines. Deterrence is the goal. Prevent a major war by raising the cost of small aggressions. A drone wall, armed surveillance drones, and clearer rules for pilots are tools to that end. It is a calculated risk. Strength may halt escalation or be misread as a prelude. There are no easy answers. Every path forward carries risk. For now, leaders choose cautious strength, quietly preparing new tools and rules to hold a firm line against aggression in an increasingly dangerous and unpredictable world.